Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 5. We are over halfway done with this class. This video is going to go over the overview and resources for week 5. This week, we're going to be covering hypothesis testing, hypothesis statements, looking at 1 versus 2 populations, and then looking at data preparation and analysis and kind of reviewing how do you actually show your data. So for this week, I want you to read chapters 9 and 10. Again, don't focus so much on all the math because I'm going to be posting the Excel videos that show you how to find the correct or find your answers for the hypothesis tests via Excel and letting Excel do that hard math for you. Just try to understand what the outcomes are telling us. So that's chapters 9 and 10. Chapter 9 covers 1 population. Chapter 10 covers comparing the 2 populations. And then chapter 10 from the research book talks about your data cleaning, or you're describing your data again, and then talks about the hypothesis statements and hypothesis tests in the last half of chapter 10. So just a little bit more of that. If you, again, don't have that research book, there are some free resources for you below. One that is not in the books is this data cleaning site. And just for your reference for when, maybe you do collect your own, you might actually need to clean your data. And when you're cleaning data, you're not actually transforming it, you're not changing it, you're just doing one of these steps. You might be removing a duplicate or irrelevant observations. You might be fixing some structural errors, so you may need to change some of these so that they are the same. So NA versus not applicable. You might need to fix some typos if you're letting people actually type in answers. You might want to get rid of outliers. There might be some missing data that you might just have to completely get rid of. And then, make sure that you validate that everything is correct. So just kind of look at these 5 components for quality data and why it benefits you to actually clean your data. Obviously, with this very small assignment that you guys are doing with only the 20 elements and not really doing a survey potentially, you may not need to clean any of the data. But if you are ever interested in running your own survey at some point, if you have not already, that's a good site to check out. For a review of describing your data, you've got these 2 sources. First one's that Mathematics for Liberal Arts, but that's the book it comes from the Lumen Learning courses, but it's going to be just a review of, again, how can you present your data? Looking at, categories and using histograms or using pie charts, pictures, all of those things. So just another refresher from those first weeks when we talked about how you can display your data. The next one is, again, the same type of thing, looking at your descriptive statistics, though, going back to those measures of central tendency, looking at plotting, again, histograms, other things of that, mean, median, mode, range, those types of things. So looking at variance, all those things. So then we look at your hypothesis statements and testing. These first ones are going to help you write a hypothesis statement if you've never done that before. It is also in chapter 9, looking at how to write a hypothesis statement. Looking at the 3 ways you can look at it, just looking for a relationship, if you want to have a direction to that relationship or not, something like that. The next one is, again, going to give you just helping you construct that. You're stating a problem, forming it. Is it clear, simple, and direct? Kind of looking at that checklist. So just a very short PDF there. And then this last one kind of actually looks at the hypothesis testing. Again, that's talked about in your book, but this is just another resource for you to help you try to understand it. It talks about the p-value and what that means. It's not too long, it's just telling you what the elements of that test are. So then there will also be some Excel videos on hypothesis testing, and I'll actually show you how I came up with my hypotheses for a certain data set. You've got a discussion question, your case study response, and then your research project assignment 5, which you will notice there is no homework assignment this week. The reason behind that being that your applied assignment this week is going to deal with hypothesis testing, and I'm not going to have you do that as your homework and as your applied assignment. We're just going to do it as your applied assignment. So the first discussion is going to talk about sampling. This week, again, you have the option, you can do it synchronously with your group, or you can do it asynchronously, as we've done in the past. Same thing is true with your case study for the week. This week, I want you to go back to your case study. We kind of took last week off, and look at the alternatives and the recommendations. So what are the alternative conclusions that you could come up with for your case study? And then, excuse me, what would be your overall recommendations for this case study? So these are kind of getting into the ending of the case study discussions. And then next week, there's going to be one more thing you're going to do with your case study data based off of next week's materials. And then you will create a short presentation to wrap up the case study for next week. Some of you are doing really well with already being past this point, but so your week 5 applied assignment is looking at your data and using your population N and your sample 12 that you got from last week. I want you to develop 3 different hypothesis statements. So you're going to clearly state your hypotheses. You're going to conduct the test to determine the accuracy of by either rejecting or not rejecting those null hypotheses. And then you're going to explain the results. So you're going to state the hypotheses, conduct the tests using Excel, and then explain what results you got. And again, I will be providing videos that kind of show you and walk you through this process if you are not quite comfortable with it after simply reading the book. I hope you all have a great week, and please let me know if you have any questions.